Hello, welcome back to Crusader Kings 3. Today we're playing as Dorama, going for the Mother of Us All achievement and playing as the final matriarch of the Hausa people, at least historically that is. This character is listed in the chronicles and histories of this region as the final matriarch of the Hausa people, who oversaw some reforms in Hausa society that wound up leading to there being male rulers as well after her death. However, we aren't going to go the historical pathway. The achievement is called Mother of Us All, after all, so instead we're going to be choosing to keep the matriarchal society intact, going for female preference succession, and trying to get the Mother of Us All achievement, having only played as female rulers. Now we start in this province of Daura. Up here we have Daura and Katsina, and we are married to the double duke immediately to our south in a matrilineal marriage. Now the double duke already has some children of his own that aren't ours, so there is a potential for us to try and inherit that through succession, but we would have to kill quite a few children to get there. We also start with a son, and the decision that you get at the start of the game that is unique to this starting character is whether or not you want to make your son that you have your successor, who is also in line for succession for the double duke. So if something mysterious were to happen to the other children, he can also be in line for those. Or would you like to make your sister your heir, who is the only other living female in your dynasty? In this case, we decided to go with the sister when the event popped up to keep the matriarchal line intact. We started with a cheeky Day 1 war on the count to our immediate east, and that's going to be our first route of expansion because we can't really go to the south. This is the event that I was talking about. So our husband actually is another historical character. He is not native to West Africa. Historically, he actually was born in Iraq and moved, so he's bringing his unique culture. And as the starting text says, he kind of represents the immigration of new ideas, new religions, new cultures into the lands that the Hausa people have traditionally inhabited for centuries. Something else that I feel like I should touch upon before we get too deep into this is that in the 40 minutes that we have in this video, I'm not going to be achieving the Mother of Us All achievement. This is something that is going to take a few parts, so please bear with me. There's going to be more videos of this coming out later. I know I'm the guy that always says, if you want me to continue this playthrough, let me know in the comments. This one, I'm actually going to continue. I promise. I've already started playing the next part after this one ends. It's already being recorded. It's already in progress, so trust me when I say that there is going to be more of this, and I am going to try my absolute best to get this achievement. That being said, what do we actually need to get the achievement? Well, to get the Mother of Us All achievement, you have to, as a descendant of Dorama Dura, you have to unite Africa, which is no easy task considering Africa consists of like several empire tier titles put together and is extremely diverse, so holding it together is also a bit difficult. You have to unite all of Africa, but not only that, you have to convert the entirety of the continent to your reformed religion. That's just an insanely monumental task to undertake. But I wanted to go for an achievement that was a bit bigger. That's what I tried to do with the last video with Kernigarter, with Jarl Dyer, but that just kind of spiraled really fast, and we wound up getting the achievement super quickly. So I wanted to shoot for the moon for this time, and I saw this achievement in the latest Alzabo video, and I was like, that sounds really fun. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna start recording it. So instead of going down the diplomacy tree, I started going down the theology tree because we need to reform our religion, and immediately in fighting off some raiders, I forgot to swap myself off commanding the army, and I got maimed. So we're off to a great start. I haven't had any daughters yet, and this is supposed to be the Mother of Us All, and I'm about to die very early on. I mean, Is it really one of my videos if something just doesn't go catastrophically wrong at some point? Right? I don't know. At this point, I'm like, we're poor, our health is poor, but we're not like critical. Maybe it'll just like go away, you know? If I just make sure to never lead an army again, maybe I can just like ignore it. And then I died. So Dorama lasted a whopping 2 years, and now we're playing as the sister. So yeah, but the sister's stats are awful. So we have 6, 3, 4, 4, 5. We have 0 stats that are in the double digits, and I'm pretty sure we have a 1-star martial education. So, you know, why not just have some extra challenge added on to it, you know? So I started going down the martial tree thinking there's no way we're going to be able to reform the religion the way that I want to with this character at all. So I just started going down the chivalry tree, getting stalwart leader, so hopefully she doesn't get maimed in battle. She did start out wounded from another previous battle, but thankfully that healed, and I didn't just have both my characters die and immediately game over. That would have been pretty funny, if I'm being honest. It would have been pretty funny. I'm trying to see if I can kill this guy to split up his duchies, so to make him easier to attack, but it's not really happening. So I just keep going west and just keep pushing this way. We did capture the entire Duchy of Gobir, but the Duchy of Gobir is a whopping 2 provinces, so nothing crazy. But we are also getting close to the Kingdom of Hausaland, which is pretty much everything that we own now, plus Yauri to the south, plus the 4 provinces that are owned by our former brother-in-law. Declared war on Yauri to our south to finish uniting the kingdom, minus the 2 duchies that I mentioned before. And all of the land that we're conquering right now is Bori Faith, and we actually start with a holy site. So we only need 2 more in order to be able to reform the religion, but there's a lot of reforms that I want to take that are going to cost a lot of piety. I don't want to just reform the base Bori Faith with the exact same tenets and the exact same structure and all of that. That's not really what I want to do. I want to set us up the best that I can to conquer the rest of Africa. So we're going to need to dump thousands of piety into this. Even with the prophet trait, I think the reforms that I want to take are still going to cost a bit over 4,000 piety. So, but more on that later. I know I show off exactly what I want to do to the religion later on, so you'll just have to wait and see. It'll be a bit of a mystery. I was able to form the Duchy of Kebi as well, so we're now a double duchess, which is very cool. And I decided to just go ahead and use my 1 subjugate war on this guy. I figure there really aren't many people near us in Africa right now that are much bigger that we would be able to use it on, and I just wanted to get the ball rolling really, really early on, so killing this guy early is going to help us spiral and get way bigger way quicker. So I think it's fine using my subjugate CB on only 4 provinces. Let me know what you would have done, because the only alternative to this is to wait until we have enough prestige to declare a duchy conquest, and then we would have to do that twice. So that would take 10 years minimum, because we would have to declare it and then win and then wait for the truce and then declare it again. But this war actually was very, very interesting in the way that it played out. The AI just kept bashing their army into mine as I was trying to siege. It would retreat, get 1 recovery tick on their men-at-arms, and then immediately come back. And it would either say that we were going to lose, or it would say that it was balanced every single time, but we won every single time. And the reason for that, so you can see his main men-at-arms that he's using are the Mubarazun, the heavy infantry. And I have 300 light infantry in my army that are countering. They're also getting countered by his archers, but I'm able to counter his heavy infantry to the point where they aren't doing as much damage as they normally would, because those heavy infantry, they hit like a truck if they aren't being countered. So that's why I decided to sink a lot of my prestige early on into both buildings, 1, and also light infantry, so that I can counter his heavy infantry, which worked out. But I was finally able to have a daughter who got a really good congenital trait that neither myself nor my character's husband had, so that was really, really cool. Hopefully we can keep that for future generations. But after one last siege, we were able to get the subjugation war done. And actually, at some point during this war, I'm pretty sure he was leading the army, and he got severely injured. So he's also going to die soon, which would be really great for us because I want his county. It has high development. In order to feudalize, we're going to need to raise our development in our capital by a lot. So moving our capital to somewhere that not only is the de jure capital of our kingdom, Hausaland, but it also already has high development, is just going to save us time in the long run. So now we were able to create the Kingdom of Hausaland. We had saved up enough money, and once we get into the royal court stuff, I mean, this is probably one of the lowest court grandeur kingdoms that I have made and played as in a long time. Just because we're tribal, we can't really upgrade any of our stuff, and I didn't really want to, because I wanted to save all of our money to keep forming titles, to keep farming the prestige that comes with forming the titles so that I can keep declaring wars and things like that. So our court, it doesn't really have any artifacts, it doesn't really have any court grandeur at all, it just kind of exists. So I don't know, hopefully once we feudalize though, we'll be able to change that and we'll have a really, really nice court, but for now it's just kind of like a chair in a big room. So, but I mean, it's better than most chairs, so I'll take it. I had 4 duchy titles at that point, so I had to give them out to some vassals. When I'm giving out titles, especially duchy titles, to counts, after I've just formed my kingdom, I always try and give them to the vassals that are already on my council with good stats that are also loyal. So they don't become an influential vassal later on and need a spot on the council, they're just already on the council. So that's my little tip, that's what I always try and do. And at this point, after forming the kingdom, I didn't have enough prestige yet. I didn't have enough fame in order to be able to declare duchy conquer CBs, so I had to go for single counties, but I could have waited and tried to farm prestige through hunts and stuff in order to get all of these little 2 province people in one singular war, because they're all in the same de jure duchy, but I just went for a doctrine of continuous expansion. I figure if I'm not getting stronger, I'm getting weaker, because that seems to be how West Africa plays out in CK3. You either have to be continuously expanding or other people are going to be coming for you. So I tried my best to always be getting stronger. Our largest neighbor was Kanu to our east, but I wasn't really worried about them. They didn't really seem to have any interest in where I was expanding, and they also seemed to have a lot of internal troubles for the majority of the campaign, so I did manage to take a Herculean strong character as one of my concubines, so I was really, really hoping for a Herculean strong daughter that I could try and play as through disinheriting other people or making them knights and hoping that they totally come home from war, but we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out, because congenital traits can be really, really, really annoying. I was able to matrilinearly marry my player heir to one of the sons of the king of Ghana. So in my brain, I'm thinking, listen, this guy isn't that far down in the succession tier. Maybe we can pull off some shenanigans to try and get somebody of our dynasty on the throne of Ghana. Ghana is really the only significant power in Western Africa at the start, and they're really the only country that can rival us in terms of influence at this point. So getting somebody of our dynasty on that throne would be so good for us. And maybe we can try and do some inheritance shenanigans there as well. Although since our nation is female preference and Ghana is on male preference, it would be a little difficult to get those to line up unless we kill like just an insane number of children, which, you know, a few children here and there for the sake of inheritance, like you got to do what you got to do. But the second that you're just like spam killing kids for, you know, inheritance reasons, and the numbers start creeping up past like 10, 11, 12, 13, you gotta, I mean, even though it's a video game, you gotta just kind of take a look at yourself for a second and be like, well, what exactly am I doing? I don't know. We decided to cross the river here and start kind of intruding on people more to our west. So all of the wars have been going really good. I've also been spamming out feasts, which is great for reducing the stress of our character, since our character was both gluttonous and also an eager reveler, since we had done so many feasts. So if we had any stress at all, I'm pretty sure I was getting like minus 130 per feast that I was doing, which is just crazy. But yeah, we're just continually warring in every single direction that is possible. We're getting so many levies. Our men-at-arms are capped at this point, I'm pretty sure. So our army is the strongest in the region by far. If people have allies, it doesn't really matter, since they really only have like 2 or 3 at most, and we can take on 2 or 3 of these little people, no problem. I got a pet cat, which is cool. I love cats, both in real life and in game. We named him Might, which I wish I didn't do, but I just kind of clicked off of it really fast. Like, what kind of a name is Might? I don't know. Like M-I-G-H-T, maybe, but like M-I-T-E, you're naming him like a parasite. Like, what is that? No cat deserves that. I don't know. We also decided to go up north, and this war is also a funny one, just based on how the AI behaved. A lot of these early wars were pretty interesting as far as what the AI was doing with their army. So we're marching in, going up north. I'm gonna have 1 stack siege, 1 stack not. His army is not here. I finished the siege. His army had marched to the north and went all the way around through my territory, marched all the way through my country, taking 100 losses per tile, and went from 1,000, a bit over 1,000, to 516 men coming in from the south. And then it just immediately decides to run into my 1,400 stack in flat terrain instead of the smaller stack that's sieging in the mountains. So it just decides to suicide as I'm finishing this siege, which, I mean, it didn't really work out for him. So finish the siege, take his province. I mean, I don't really know what kind of strategy the AI was going for there. I think the AI gets really confused when they have these really narrow corridors that they have to try and walk through. They just don't really know what to do. So I went on a pilgrimage because at this point I'm thinking, you know, there's at least a couple percentage chance that I'm going to try and reform the religion with this character, even though I highly doubt I'm going to have enough piety. So I swapped over to the learning tree and took theology focus to try and stack as much piety as possible and go down to the prophet. What do you even call those? They're not like the individual points on the skill tree. Do they have a name? They're not perks. Feels like I'm talking about Call of Duty if I call them perks. I don't know. The individual little thing in the skill tree called Prophet. I want that one. I want that one because it gives me a 50% reduction in reforming my religion, in the cost of reforming my religion. So instead of like 8,000 piety, it'll cost me like 4,000, which is a huge discount. Very, very nice. So just trying to get our borders to look a little nicer while still continuing the doctrine of continuous war. You'll also notice that I've been continually developing my capital this entire time, so that when we do reform the religion and we meet all of the requirements because we have all of the innovations, I will be able to have the development needed to feudalize. Over in Ghana, at some point, our tactic of killing the guy and killing all of his kids succeeded, and my grandson was on the throne of Jene. He was second in line at the time that he died, so he didn't actually get the bigger Ghana title, but the guy who was on the throne of Ghana right now didn't have any kids, and my grandson was his primary heir. So I was like, if I can kill this guy, then my grandson is going to be on the throne of Ghana and Jene united, and that's going to be really dope. I decided to go south into Igbo land to try and conquer the holy site that was down there. I'm trying to just unite all of the holy sites that I can. My husband is actually the count of this tiny province over here, which is also another holy site. So we have one in the province that we started in, one in Igbo land that I'm currently trying to conquer, and then we have a shared inheritance via my husband for the third holy site if we don't capture any of the other ones. So that was my fallback plan in order to get the 3 holy sites necessary. Kanem also has another one. There's one in Bornu. So if we decide to conquer that later on, we won't need the inheritance, but it's still nice to try and unite all of the holy sites. Checking on our succession, at this point we had conquered enough of the kingdom of Igbo land that it would be created upon our death. So just something to keep in mind. We might want to disinherit some of our kids at some point in order to prevent the realm from splitting too much when we die, because we did wind up having a few daughters. Another cool thing to highlight is the fact that our faith now has, I believe, the tenet's called ritual celebrations, which actually means we get 100 piety whenever we hold a feast. So, I mean, I'm already holding all of the feasts that I possibly can in order to farm prestige to get enough for these Duchy Conquer CBs, since it costs 375 every time. So the extra 100 piety, though, when you're trying to reform a religion, is just a really nice bonus. And again, I say this in every single one of these videos in the voiceover afterwards with the benefit of hindsight. I should have taken, in the martial tree, before I swapped over, Bellum Justum. I don't know why. I always forget, but like, just watching this back and editing this down and trying to keep a mental tally on the amount of prestige that I could have saved, it's crazy. So, I killed a kid. I mean, happens when you play this game. Just trying to do some succession management over in Ghana. So, or actually I didn't kill the kid, I failed this time. Unfortunate. And I misspoke earlier when I said that my grandson had inherited Gen A. My grandson hadn't inherited Gen A. The son of the king of Ghana that I had matrilineally married my heir off to had inherited Gen A. So I was trying to kill the current king of Ghana's kids so that my son-in-law would be able to inherit Ghana. Yes. It's very difficult for me to keep all of this like inheritance stuff and family relationships and whatnot in like keep track of it in my brain. I just get really lost in the sauce once we're like 1 to 2 steps removed from my immediate family. So forgive me if I misspeak or mislabel somebody and how they're related to me, but so that's one daughter down. And then I realized this guy, in the time that it took me to kill his first daughter, had 2 more kids. So I was like, I guess we just gotta keep going. Thankfully, his spy master, I guess, didn't like him very much and could be bribed every single time for the low price of like 40 gold, which, you know, that's an absolute steal for 80 plot power and 80 secrecy. I'll pay 40 gold for that every time. Normally when you're playing in Western Europe and you're trying to bribe a duke, they're demanding like 200 gold from you for like 20%. That's crazy. So, just trying to wrap up some more borders too and try and tidy up Igbo land down here. So, really easy wars still. I mean, it's the type of war where you just raise your army and you walk in, you know. His character, super expansionist, been very nice. So, we're off to a good start, I would say. So, another kid bit the dust, unfortunately, but this time it wasn't me. I was trying to kill him, and then it said that his dad had already killed him. So, not sure how he was able to do that. It must have been an event, because I don't think he has the trait that lets you plot against your own family. So, my heir came of age, and she is a 3-star learning education, which is going to be very nice. The only bad thing is that she's arrogant, which is a sin for our religion, which is a -1 per month, but she does have 1 virtue, so it all balances out in the end. So, not fantastic, not bad either. So, excited to hopefully play as her, and hopefully be able to reform the religion since she has the learning education in case my current character dies before we are able to do that. I was giving all of the land that I was conquering to Hausa nobles, kind of further destabilizing every single region that I conquered, because when I'm expanding this fast, I'm not really going for, well, I'm going for internal stability, but internal stability in the terms of like my tier, right? So I don't want my dukes declaring war on me, but if my dukes are getting war declared on them because all of their vassals hates them, then that's fine. They won't be declaring war on me. So, I don't know. We'll see how it works out. So, normally you have to imprison a person here or two, or revoke a title here or two once people start consolidating and getting a bit too uppity, but so even though we had already expanded well beyond the Hausa culture's borders, I was still granting everything to Hausa nobles. So another kid died, and that left one remaining, and then my son-in-law would be the heir to Ghana. Then we just have to kill the king somehow, which I tried to do earlier when he didn't have an heir yet, and it got discovered immediately. So that's why I'm going the route of needing to kill all of his kids. So I think we're up to three kids so far, so not too many. So I was able to find my soulmate, which happened to be the guy with the Herculean strong trait, so still going for that Herculean strong daughter that we haven't been able to have yet. I declared war for the Duchy of Bornu to try and get the third holy site so that I wouldn't have to wait for an inheritance and wait for my next character in order to get it. And this war was honestly pretty dang easy. Here, okay, I made a blunder. I checked to see if I could have any decisions to reduce stress, and I didn't, and I barely had a mental break that gave me the drunkard trait, which reduces your health, which I hate, but it was better than the other option. Because profligate is just horrendous. I hate profligate. The minus 10% income is just super annoying. But I could have pet the cat. I could have pet Might. And I didn't remember. I didn't remember that I had a cat. I could have pet the cat and it would have saved me a mental break. So, unfortunate. So at this point, this guy has had 4 kids murdered. 3 of them by me, and 1 of them was his own doing. So, only 1 more. But this time, we didn't have enough plot power. I couldn't bribe anybody this time. I was really worried about whether or not we were going to pull this off. And then, in a strange twist of fate, after I send a messenger pigeon in, this was a really fun twist of fate. He's up there, he died. He just immediately died as we were there, and the kid actually took over. So now the kid that I'm trying to kill is the king of Ghana, and everybody hates him because he's a kid on the throne. So we were able to recruit more than enough people to kill this kid. He's not going to be having any kids or producing any heirs, so now my son-in-law, that is matrilineally married to my daughter, is next in line for the throne. In the middle of this war, I had a war declared on me, actually, which was surprising. I didn't think that they would do it, but they managed to muster up about 3,000 troops with allies, so I called in all of my allies, including the King of Jene, ransomed some people away for some money, and I hired some mercenaries. And the plan was to just go back in and finish off Kanem, who had got a few of their own allies and outnumbered me by a decent amount at this point. But we had a lot of war score from before they were able to get their allies in. We had some sieges, some battles won. So I just hired a merc stack, waited for some more supplies, and walked in. And we were able to kill the child king of Ghana. So now we had all of Jene that was going to be inherited by somebody of our dynasty. It was going to be inherited by my grandson, and not my granddaughter though, so it's not like we were going to be able to inherit our way into the Kingdom of Ghana and the Kingdom of Jene, which would have been really nice, but not to be, since we decided to go for the matriarchal playthrough here. Having one final battle with Kanem, which gave us the 90% that we needed, since we have the trait that lets us peace out at 90%. It also feels weird calling them traits. It's not a trait. It's like it's a thing in the tree. I don't know what to call them. What do you call them? Do they have a name? I don't know. Maybe I'm just like blanking right now, but I genuinely can't think of what they're called. So then we just march our army the other direction, beat both of their armies because they aren't really cohesive. The AI, when you're facing multiple AI armies with one big army of your own, they're never really cohesive. They're all trying to walk in a million different directions and all calculate where they should go while trying to stay near each other but not on top of one another for supply reasons. So you can kind of take advantage of their indecisiveness and catch them in a less than optimal battle for them. So popped into Borgu, sieged down a few things, and noted that we were going to need to come back to fight Borgu again once our truce was over to take their duchy from them and make it so that they can never declare war on us ever again. Here are the reformed Bori tenets that I wanted to go for. I wanted to go for mendicant preachers for the conversion speed, pursuit of power because it unlocks some good CVs for us, and warmonger also for the same reason. It makes people happy with the fact that we are declaring offensive wars instead of upset with it, and that'll help the realm kind of hold together. I also wanted to change to a temporal head of faith with lay clergy so that we would be able to be the head of faith and we would be able to control the great holy wars and all of the things like that. But that was going to cost us 8,700 piety. So we're nowhere near having enough for that. And I also realized at this point that when you unite Africa, every single county that is not your faith in the continent will have a 33% chance to just immediately convert to your faith. So that's going to be really, really helpful for getting the Mother of Us All achievement, once we finally are able to capture the entire continent. So I'm still feasting, still doing all of that, still trying to farm prestige. I don't think I ever got up over 1,000 prestige saved with this character at any one time, ever. Because we're just getting it and then immediately spending it. And again, if you're doing this, please get the Bellum Justum trait. I don't even care if you're a Martial Spect character or not. Like, every character you need if you're declaring Conquest Wars needs Bellum Justum. It's so good. It's just a 50% reduction in the cost of every single war that you do. If that's like an invasion, that's a 500 prestige discount. That's crazy. So we would have had thousands extra had I taken that, but it skips my mind every single time, even when I'm already in the martial tree. I don't know. Like, look at this invasion. It would only cost 500. So I decided to use my invasion here because I didn't know how long this character was going to last. And this double Duke of Ife down here was pretty much the biggest person that was immediately adjacent to us besides Kanem, but Kanem was also split between 2 different de jure kingdoms at this point, so I was able to get the profit trait, so it cut the cost down to 4,350 to get the tenants that I wanted, but we're still a long ways off of that. We're only at 1,400, so I'm trying to go on pilgrimages whenever I can, but the cooldown on pilgrimages is really, really high, and we have no other great way that I know of really stacking that much piety this quickly. So pretty much for the entire lifespan of this character, I've been halfway in between like giving up on reforming the religion with them and thinking, maybe I can still do it if I just like save up all of my piety and don't spend any of it. So it was like a weird halfway in between type situation that I was in. There's a little glimpse at our innovations. We don't have nearly enough that we need in order to feudalize, but hopefully as we continually increase our development, we'll be able to speed that process up a little bit and speed the feudalization process up. Once we feudalize, I think we're going to be insanely powerful. It's just trying to get to that point. So again, the AI is walking around doing AI things, making it super easy to fight them. And we just have overwhelming numbers. I mean, this character is martial spec, so a lot of bonuses towards leading armies, commander advantage, things like that. So I don't think we've really lost a battle as this character since they took over, so that's very, very nice. Someone was trying to seduce us, and I said, not today. Not gonna happen. That's 50 piety, I need that. So, I mean, that's just like the extent to which I was trying to hoard piety, just like any little scraps that I could, but it's not enough. It's not gonna be enough. There's no way I'm gonna get another like 3,000. So went back to try and declare war on Kanem again, and I was like, I should still have a subjugation CB left. Nope, we used that right at the very beginning. But I can conquer another duchy. And they were super weak at this point, split in 2. Their capital was right on my border, so I can just kind of slip in and declare war on them. But at this point, my strategy of not really caring what my vassals thought about me and giving them other vassals that make them upset and make them have problems was kind of starting to come back to bite me a little bit. They were starting to cause a few problems, and our son-in-law over here died. So Ghana and Jenne got split up between 2 of my grandsons. So I was a little fearful for what was going to happen, but our dynasty did rule the majority of West Africa at this point, which was really nice. So I don't know. I have to wait and see what happens with those 2 kids. Still very concerned for them and their safety, since, kids don't really have very long lifespans in Ghana. For some reason. I don't know. Don't ask me. Don't ask me. Not me. Totally not me. Still waging war against Kanu. It's easy, as always. Like, pretty much all of the wars that we're in at this point. So, I am worried about my succession at this point, since I now have 3 kingdoms that are going to be split off when I die. So we're going to split into Hausa land, Yoruba land, and Igbo land. So a little concerning, and I found out that the Duke that I just subjugated in that invasion war was trying to kill me, which wasn't particularly surprising, so I just put him in prison. And I was going to try and revoke his titles, but since we had a truce for another however many years, I couldn't yet. So instead I just let him rot in my dungeon. At this point, I think one mistake that I made was I was sitting on absolute tribal authority this entire time, which is a malice of 30 to your direct vassal opinion, which I think was really, really hurting me and making people want me to die, obviously, since they were actually trying to kill me. My husband died, which meant that my player heir inherited the province that he was ruling. So we now had our player heir in control of another holy site, which was nice, although they were a subject under Khanim, which was a little awkward since we were currently at war with Khanim, but I mean, it was fine in the end, so it was fine. Still just waging war against Khanim. I mean, the war never stops. Like I said before, you gotta continually be expanding in order to not get overrun by a lot of the stronger people in Africa, but at this point there was nobody stronger than us. So now that the war is done, it's time for another pilgrimage. Heading off to the holy site in Igbo land. And I was like, oh, Oyo down here looks ugly with the way that their color is just like protruding from the House of Land Orange, so I'm going to kill them. And then I started dying, and then it got worse. So I'm thinking, okay, time to pull out all the stops. We're spending all the resources that we have here. We're spending all of our prestige on as many wars as we can before I die, because I'm going to die of this sickness. I was convinced that this was the end for my character, and you know, sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. You never really know. Sometimes you just get the feeling. I was trying to sprint down to the know yourself trait so that I could know when I was going to die, but I don't think we had gotten there at this point. Unfortunately, as you just saw on the screen, one of the women from the previous dynasty ruling Ghana that we matrilineally married into had taken their claim on Ghana proper and had enforced it, so our dynasty lost control of Ghana, and I had no real way of getting it back. So I was allied to Jenne though, so I would be able to defend them in the case of any difficulties that they were having. So I figured if I can just hold on to Jenne, even though they're just kind of fractured and exist on the fringes of Ghana, then, you know, we'll do that. At this point, I was trying to disinherit some of my daughters so that we didn't explode into 3 kingdoms when I died, but I didn't really have enough prestige for that, and I didn't want to spend 900 on it if I saved up, so I was like, it'll be fine, you know? I could have gone over for a conquer this way. I wanted to go to the east to try and get the Guinea-Bissau empire, but I was like, that's going to cost piety. I don't really want to do that. I'd rather spend my prestige, and we can get some revenge against Borgu if I just save up a little bit of prestige. So that was the plan. We have a duchy that we can create, which is exactly what I did in order to get enough prestige. And we granted that to another Hausa Bori vassal so that they follow our culture and our religion, and they have some problems with the Igbo or Yoruba vassals beneath them. The troops are raised up. We're getting ready to go to war. Everything is going fine. I had recovered from the sickness, which was great. I was on medicine focus, so I was kind of trying to counter as many health penalties as I possibly could in order to increase this character's lifespan as much as humanly possible. But, you know, the end was still nigh. I just felt it. I was trying to get to know yourself. I wanted to know when so that I could maybe try and disinherit one daughter with my remaining prestige if I had any. But at this point, I'd also just kind of accepted the fact that our kingdom was going to explode when I died. So just trying to get a few more wars in before the inevitable happens. It got discovered that one of my vassals was an agent in another scheme against me, so I know that somebody else is trying to kill me. So there's just people out to get me. My character just does not have the intrigue to counter that. They don't have the vassal opinion to get them to stop either, which is why I said earlier I should have gone down from absolute tribal authority. I was able to revoke this guy's title before what everybody expects is going to happen happens. So to pick it up next time, we're going to pick it up with my next character, my daughter, since I got murdered by a peasant mob. How ungrateful. And our kingdom split into 3. So this is where we're going to leave it off for now. I hope you're excited for part 2 and likely part 3. Part 2 will focus on the life of our daughter and exactly what we're going to do as her. Like I said, I've already started recording it, so it's coming soon. So stay tuned for that. Hope you all had fun, and I'll see you next time.